Hello, everybody. Welcome back. YouTube.com/Geek Aloud for the Gaming Enforcement Agency, episode 118. Unky's unfortunately not joining us in the second slot this evening, but as always, we can rely on Bully in that there third slot. How are you this evening, mate?
Well, he's stranding us again, Unky. Death stranding us.
Kojima's got him in his grasp and he will not let go. But he has let us go, and we've been able to play 5 games for Games Interrogation and Deliberation this week, followed by the most wanted game for next week, and then we're off into Newsland. Bully, how many newsroom doors were you able to kick in?
A bit slow this week, so only the 3.
Fair enough. And then, of course, you can chat with us live in the YouTube chat all night. Bully will flick those comments up. Should we miss any? The final segment is games. Nope, it's audience interrogation. If we miss anything, we will mop up the comments at that time. Bully, I declare us to be on. And without further ado, let's roll straight on into games, interrogation, and deliberation. First up this evening, Bully, ready or not, I'm handing it over to you for the lead investigation.
I am ready. And I think this one's been out on PC for a little while. You might be able to help me out with that, but released onto consoles about a week and a half ago now, I think. And
I think it's been a few years it's been on PC.
Yeah, and I think there was some backlash, and I'm just trying to get it up now as we speak, that there was some backlash in relation to it coming to consoles for some reason. I'm not quite sure what the reason is for that. But for anyone that hasn't played it, it's a tactical style shooter. You play basically a SWAT team. You send out on calls. So I think the opening couple of levels there was, I think the one that you can see on screen there is basically a group of armed robbers are holed up inside a
servo?
Convenience store / servo / mechanics, and got hostages in there. You have to go in there, and the whole idea of the game is it's not to just go in there guns blasting and take them out. You've got
isn't it?
Well, I suppose you could do it like that. I guess I don't know, but so you sort of make your way through, and you've got all the gadgets. You can look under doors and see what's coming. You have to either pick locks or blast the doors open. You can command your squad in there as well to give them orders. Stack up on doors or breach the door and throw, concussion grenades and all that sort of stuff in there. And then I played a bit of the second level as well, which it's an apartment building that you got to sort of work your way up to. And it's interesting in the fact that, especially with that level, and without giving too much away, but you're basically sent on a call out to this particular apartment building. And as you're making your way up to the top floor, you're sort of blocked off in certain stairwells and stuff, and you have to make your way through other apartments to try and get to where you need to get to. And you just come across other stuff while you're in there. So I come across basically a data farm was in one of these apartment complexes and stealing data and stuff like that. And there's just 3 blokes as you open the door standing there. So you arrest them on your way to going up to the next one.
Can I interject, just because on screen now is the only time I show it, but this is the mission briefing. Before you go on in, you pull out your tablet and you can scroll through and look at, the mission briefing, the civilians, the suspects, and any media and audio related to it. My question, Bully, on screen now is the map, and you can draw a line on the map, but how does that feature work? Because I drew like a path in the map in the briefing, but then I went into the level and the line wasn't there. So I'm not sure I'm quite understanding that mechanic. I don't know if you played with it.
No, I haven't, but I assume it's just sort of like it gives you an idea of where you need to go in a visual sense that you've got to translate yourself when you get there. And that's probably one of the things with it. It's not, you don't get a lot of clues as like there's no button to tap to sort of X-ray vision your way through or see where your goals are. You basically just landed in a map. Here it is. You work out how you're going to get through it. And while you're doing that, you've got to work out where the criminals are, where the civilians are. You can issue commands to get down and drop weapons. You've got guns and stuff, but you've got, tasers and stuff like that if you can get close enough, you can use those. So really interesting. I'm just having a look now. I think the issue was that it was, it's been censored to some degree from the PC version.
Do you know specifics what was removed?
It just says key story content being censored, like a child convulsing or a naked man in a ghillie suit. So pretty minor.
Well, he's not naked then, is he?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's just hiding under it and he jumps up and surprise, here we are. I don't know. I never played it on the PC, but if that's where the aggro is coming from, that they're taking out some pretty minor stuff in that respect. But I'm also looking at it as well. It's actually already sold 1 million copies
on consoles.
On consoles, which is selling 10 times faster than PC. So it's basically a tick for the developers that, well, you know, despite the backlash that you're going to throw at us, we're going to put it out there, and it seems to be getting quite a lot of traction. So I haven't done any in the multiplayer as of yet, Troy. I don't know if you jumped into that space, but there is that option as well that you can jump in with other people that can, instead of you commanding your squad, you basically have other human players that go in and you can communicate your way through. And, you know, I think that'd be a fun way to do it as well, is you can sort of time it that you breach doors together and take the crims by surprise, as it were. But it's the type of game that it is. It's really slow paced. It's like, it actually looks pretty good. So it's not like a even though it's not a full price game. I think it was 60-ish.
Yeah. Yep.
Australian for the base version, and about 100 with all the DLC on top of that. But it's not, from my point of view, it doesn't graphically look like a discount or cheaper price game. It looks pretty good. It plays pretty well. It's just that slower pace you got to get used to. But if you can wrap your head around that, and it's just about methodically moving your way through each sort of area, then I think there's quite a bit of fun to be had. And you don't really get a lot of games like this. I think the last one of this sort of ilk that I can remember was back in the early 2000s. It was a PC game called SWAT. And the iteration that I played was SWAT 4, and it was pretty similar to this, that you were punished for killing anyone. The idea was to use your tools and you know, work your way through and arrest people rather than killing them, and you got punished for actually firing and shooting them. So
there is one more recent title than that, though, I can throw at you. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, mate.
Yeah, and it's funny because I thought about that with the comparison, but to me, this is even a step slower than that. Like, yes, you still have some of those tactical elements in Rainbow Six, but this is another step above that in terms of because I think ultimately, and I haven't played a lot of I haven't played Rainbow Six in a number of years, but ultimately it's still a group versus another group, that you can use whatever tools you've got, but ultimately you've got to get in there and you know, kill the other team. Whereas this is basically like a police procedural type show that you got to try and do it properly, I suppose.
There are, off the top of my head, I want to say 8. There might be 10 solo missions in Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I think they tuck it away in the tutorial section, but it, for all intents and purposes, is this game. It's single player. I think you've got to be online, but it's a single player game, and you can do the stack up and go through. You're not collecting evidence, but it's not multiplayer. I know the main thrust of Rainbow Six Siege and what's carried it through 10 years is that multiplayer, but there is a small single player component, and that's very similar to this.
Well, it's funny because the original Rainbow Six games on the
PS3?
There was even before that. I'm pretty sure there was one on Xbox and PC.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That came out in the early 2000s. That was very much that sort of slow-based tactical thing. But even to that level, this is another level on top of that.
Absolutely.
You know, I think the idea was to try and sneak your way through those levels, but this is literally sneak your way through. But for all intents and purposes, we really don't want you to shoot anyone. So
yeah,
if that sounds like your style of game, or you can wrap your head around that sort of gameplay style, I think it'd be really fun in a multiplayer sense. But I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a fantastic game, and kudos to the developers there for pushing through despite the you know, pushback, I suppose. So Void Interactive is the developers of the game, and you know, kudos to them. They've pushed through with it, and it looks like it's selling well and doing well for them.
Yeah, good on them. It is a great game. The small little niggles I've got with it is the field of view slider. I love it. You know me, Bully. Take it for a walk all the way to the right. But in doing that in this title, you get screen tear left, right, and center. It even says on the options menu when you rack it up, it says, "Oh, be careful, you're going to get screen tearing." And it was unplayable. The screen tearing was that much. So I had to go back to the default view, which is this. And it looks great and it runs great on there. I just wish it was a bit wider, but that's very much a me thing. I don't know. Did you get up to this level here, Bully, where you're running through the tunnels and you got the night vision on and there's old blokes jumping out at you?
No, I didn't. I've only sort of really played through the tutorial section, and then the first 2 levels I played through. But I've gone back and sort of I think when I played the first, so the gas station one the first time, I played through that, and I think I ended up shooting two of the hostage takers. So I thought, oh no, I want to go back and actually do it properly, and then replay it again and go through it with, like, doing it without killing anyone, rescuing all of the hostages, and doing all the objectives in there. So
Yeah.
to me, there is a lot of replayability, and from what I've seen, even if you go and re-enter a level that you've just played, the setup of where the enemies are and where the civilians are is different every time. So it's not like you can sort of go, I know how the setup of this one is. I know there's going to be two on the other side of this door. This is how I'm going to approach it. It's basically a reset to, basically a blank canvas of the level how it is, and then randomly insert the NPCs in there.
Little roguelitey.
Yeah, a little bit, which to me makes it a lot more interesting and a lot more replayability value, because, you might work out a way through a particular level, but the next time you go in there, it's going to change. So you've got to work out different strategies or different entry points, or, different ways of working through it. So I think there's a lot of value and a lot of fun to be had in the game. And as I said, it's not full price, and probably worth a check out, I would think. Absolutely.
I agree with you completely. I think I've finished 5 levels. And I don't imagine you've encountered this mechanic yet, but it's still a mystery. You can get your officers stressed out at the end of the mission. On the mission summary screen, it'll say this officer's anxious or stressed or whatever. And then it puts you back at the, police headquarters. And I can't work out where you're meant to go to deal with that. Like, I was rolling sort of mission to mission to mission. Yeah. And I don't feel like I was ever able to. I assume from the setup that there must be a mechanic, something you can do to calm the officers down between missions, but I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Either that, or it's just, they were stressed out during the mission because of the way that you led them. And and I'd have to have a look into it, but it may be that if they're stressed out, the way you're playing and the way you're tackling a scenario is that they might, get itchy trigger finger sort of type thing, and shoot when you don't want them to shoot, or do something you don't want them to do because of the way that you're leading them. It might stress them out. I'm not sure. I'd have to have a bit of a look into it.
Yeah, who would have thought I wasn't a great leader? I am very keen to go onto the multiplayer, but in advance, I apologize to whomever I ended up multiplayering with, because I don't think I'm going to be the best at following orders. I might get a little distracted.
Oh, you can just stand at the back while the rest of us go in. Come and mop up at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if you checked out on screen there, mate. You can go through all the customizations and change your outfits and your weapons and your accessories. And go through. So if you're into your cosmetic gameplay, it's very much for my kids. They would spend a whole lot more time in this menu than I did. But good to know it's there. It's a nice little extra feature. And I haven't gone into it yet, but I did walk around the police, headquarters a little bit between missions. And there is an evidence room. And I saw there was a trophy for inspecting any piece of evidence. So I'm going to go back and mop up that cheeky, easy bronze in short order. But the layout of that headquarters, I'm not sure I understand it entirely. Like the need for it. Why isn't it just a menu? It would be so much quicker than slowly walking through it.
I suppose the argument is they're trying to make it a realistic sim type game. So maybe that's what their justification is. I'm not sure. But I don't disagree with you. It seems to me that it's just there for the sake of being there. It doesn't actually really serve a massive purpose, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you just saw it. I think it's done now in the edit, but there's nice rain effects as well. I think this is the start of mission 3, and you're walking into a rainy street, and there's water all over the lens. It looks fantastic. There's some really nice effects in this. There's no sprint, is there? I keep trying to sprint, and I ended up just going real slow. There's no run, is there?
I don't think so, from what I've seen. But again, that tends to the realism part of it, is that you don't want them to sprint through the areas. You want to, move methodically and purposefully through the area to sort of do it. And even then, I've only played a couple of levels, but there really isn't a lot of space to do long sprints anyway, because you're sort of making your way through from closed door to closed door and in confined environment to the next. So it's
just when I come under fire, my Call of Duty instincts kick in, and I'm like, quick sprint out of the way. But
no, there's no sprint. There's no sideways, backwards, tumble and back through the door that you just came from and trying to plug the offenders while you're doing it. None of that for this.
Yeah, 2 massive thumbs up from me. My final question to you, Bully, is just, can you speak to the realism of this at all? Does it match in any way to real world sort of policing, or is this just video game fiction?
There is elements. It's not 100%, accurate, but and I don't think it ever would be, because wouldn't be a lot of fun in it.
A lot of paperwork between missions.
Well, you'd be standing out the front talking for a long time before you actually did anything. I don't think anybody wants to see that. But some of the tools they use, yes. Some of the tactics they use, yes. But you got to sort of combine a bit of
fun,
creative license in there to make it enjoyable and replayable, that people can go back through those levels as I spoke about.
Yes. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to mention, just in case viewers haven't seen this before, but if you notice, you've got 2 blue team members and 2 red team members. To Bully's sort of earlier point, you can split the teams and have them surrounding 2 separate doors, 2 entry points to a room, and then you can queue up the 2 commands of breach and clear, and then fire them both off at once. So it does have a little bit of that. Even if you're playing single player, you can still break your teams up and multiple entry point. That was the only other thing. But fantastic game. If you love sort of Rainbow Six Siege or, Tom Clancy books, I suggest this would definitely be a title worth checking out. As you said, mate, it's a discounted price. Any final points from you, or shall we move on into game 2?
Oh, let's carry on.
All right, then. Game 2 this evening is Banishes Ghosts of New Eden. The installs just went up on the channel yesterday. It's not Game Pass. It's PlayStation Plus game catalog. So if you're in the, premium and deluxe, I want to say, the second and top tier of PlayStation Plus subscription, you can check it out at no additional cost. Install size, I think, was around the 68 gig mark. So relatively small for a pretty good-looking game. But it was 2 hours. I threw 2 hours at it. And honestly, for me, it is just too slow. There are too many cutscenes, too many conversation paths between action sequences. So I've deleted it off my drive. I'm not going to be finishing it. It's an interesting enough premise. It's just the pacing of the game that's got me bounced off it pretty early. Bully, did you go hands-on, mate? And any thoughts?
Yeah, I actually bought it hard copy probably 6-12 months ago, I think. For mine, I get where you're coming from. It's a very slow start, especially when you first get into it. You first get to this village, and very slow while you're going through the first couple of missions in the game. But it does actually open up after that and becomes less sort of bogged down. It's sort of hard to describe. It's not like there's a lot of mechanics that it needs to show you in terms of a tutorial, but it does lay a fairly heavy groundwork in terms of the story. Mm-hmm. And then I'm not going to give it. I won't give away the main cut and thrust of it, but something fairly.
We better hurry up quick, because I'm going to spoil it visually in a minute in the edit.
Oh, I hope not. That. Part way through the game, there's a fairly big, and it leads to the mechanics of the game eventually, but there's a fairly big story element. So that's sort of what it builds up to. And then once you get to that and past that, then it does open up a little bit, and there's less of that slow tutorial-based sort of gameplay. It does open it up. It becomes a lot more enjoyable after that.
Should I really not show it? Because honestly, it's about to cut to the big reveal.
I can't remember this section. I know the mission, but I can't remember.
Oh, but no, I've edited. I sort of edit cut to the chase.
Oh, if you're about to throw up what ultimately ends up being the main mechanic of the game, I'd probably give that a miss.
All right, I'll do one of these. I think it should cue it up from the top. If I do that, yep, that'll take it back to the top. That'll buy us a bit more time. Any other points? Sorry, mate.
No, to be honest, I haven't sunk a whole lot more time than you have into it, probably 5 or 6 hours. But I've really enjoyed the setting. It's set in.
Yeah, it's great.
It's basically in a basically colonial America in the 1600s, as the first explorers and settlers are coming over from England, and so there's only really small townships that you can sort of go through, that they're basically just in the the infancy of setting up the American colonies. And I really like the because you don't really get a lot of games in that sort of time frame. The
No.
only really ones I can think of are maybe Assassin's Creed that touch on it, but there's not
Yep.
really a lot that is set in that time frame. And there is a mythical sort of element to it. You can see on screen there, you're sort of fighting ghosts, which it's in the title. I get that, but there's that in there as well. There's some some of the sort of stuff that you expect in 1600s new colonial America. There's witchcraft and those sort of storylines and the fear of the night and the fog and all that sort of stuff. So I think there's some really nice elements into it. In terms of the world itself, I actually really enjoyed the setting that it was not just that it was set in that sort of new world America, but the actual environments that you were placed into. It really lent itself into the storyline as well. So
very Resident Evil, I felt, the environmental artwork.
Yeah, there is, and that sort of leans into that. That doesn't. I don't think it necessarily had to be all dark and gloomy and at night, but it really leans into that supernatural element that the game's sort of going for. That it does have that dark, it does have the mist and the fog, and you're sort of working your way through. The initial sort of main mission takes you into a graveyard, as you can see on the screen there, that you sort of start going to. So all those elements together sort of lend themselves into what I think's a reasonable game. It's no world beater, and it'll never be anywhere near the game of the year. But I think there's a little bit there to get you interested. And it's I would have said if you could get it on sale, go for it. But certainly if you've got access to the PS Plus catalog, as you did mention before, it's in the July drop. It went live last week, so I think there is something to it. It might, if you've got access to it, you're paying for PS Plus. Download it, have a look. I'd suggest probably, even if you're struggling a little bit, try and push through to the 2 or 3 hour mark, and then make an assessment after that point as to whether you think it's worth continuing with. But I think it's certainly worth a look.
All right, well, you've talked me into it. I'll reinstall it. I'll give it another couple of hours and see how I go. Love the look of it. The art style, without giving anything away, but they switch up the art style. I don't even know how to explain it without spoiling it, but there's a reason to switch up the art style based on a character. And that art style change, I think, is really nice. Yes, it's not daytime, but it is much brighter in that other viewpoint, which I think is really cool. I did like the setting, just not fast enough. But if it picks up pace after the first hours, I'll go back and give it another crack.
Yeah, oh, look, don't get me wrong. You're not going to be running around the world Call of Duty style,
diving through windows,
dispatching ghosts left, right, and center. But it certainly does, like in terms of the story and the progression, it certainly does speed itself up a fair bit more after that sort of 3 or 4 hour mark.
No Ghostbusters proton packs unlocked at any stage.
Maybe that's DLC. I don't know.
Very good. All right, let's move on into game number 3. Bully, take us to the land of Paris.
Well, I'm going to probably butcher this because I've never actually seen anyone pronounce
Jusant.
it. I'm just reading it. Jusant, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. But it's it's one of those sort of chill, relax, just take it easy sort of games. It doesn't throw the story right in your face. You're sort of dumped into this what looks like almost post-apocalyptic sort of world where there's not a lot around. You're at the base of a set of cliffs and you start climbing, and you're not really given too much of an indication as to what you're doing or how you're going about it. But the story doesn't slap you over the face as you're sort of climbing up, but you find collectibles that sort of advance the storyline and give you snapshots of what's happened and why you're there, and it sort of progresses as you go. So, there's probably not a heck of a lot to say in terms of the game itself. What you see on screen is what it is. You attach yourself to these anchor points. You use the left and right triggers to climb up ropes or rock faces, and there's some exploration around once you get up to each sort of level of, as I said, there's a few collectibles and there's some things to see there. But in essence, that's sort of the game is just climbing. And if you're after a nice, relaxing, just chill experience, it's funny because if you had asked me to play this maybe 6 or 12 months ago, I'd have sort of thought, oh no, it's not really in my wheelhouse. But after spending a lot of time playing Death Stranding 2, I think I'm up almost to the 50-hour mark. I've finished the game. I've gone back into it to start trying to work on that platinum. So I've put a fair chunk into that, and a lot of the end game stuff is just the delivery stuff in Death Stranding 2. So it's just either cruising around on foot or in one of your vehicles, and just working your way across the landscape. And this is very much the same sort of thing. You're just presented with the mountain essentially you got to climb, and you just take in the surroundings and just sort of maneuver your way through the landscape and the environment. And I don't. There may be some coming, I don't know, but in the couple of hours I've put into it, there's no enemies as such that you need to end up fighting. I think the only thing is that you might, if you don't put those harness points in properly, you might fall. But I don't think I've hit that part yet. But or I haven't failed to, or you're laughing because you've forgot to do it and you're about to drop off the side of the cliff as we speak.
At the end of this footage, if we talk long enough, you'll see me take a great tumble where I didn't put a pin in. The one for me, this game just kills my old man fingers. Like my trigger fingers on the dual sense, the adaptive triggers, it feels fantastic, but after 5 minutes, my fingers are shot. This game, well, there's two reasons I can't play it. One, the arthritis and the trigger fingers, but two, 3D platformers and me have never been friends, and this game continues to prove that point. Thoroughly enjoyable. If I didn't have sore fingers and I was a bit more adept at 3D platforming, I could definitely see, there I go.
There you go.
I could definitely see.
So you clipped yourself in, so you're right. You just got to climb yourself back up.
It's the next one. I do it a couple of times.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can certainly see that with the left right. So that to probably explain that a bit further, it's the left trigger moves your left hand to latch onto something. Your right trigger, same with the right hand. So you got to sort of alternate between the two. And there's obviously a bit of with the adaptive triggers, there's a bit of pull that you've got to have in there as well, and a resistance in the triggers, which as you said, it's one of those things that it does lend to the experience of it, but I can see I haven't found it in this game, but there's other games that I've played that I've had to turn it off just because it's just dead set annoying to be playing with the adaptive triggers after the initial sort of, oh yeah, this is cool, and you get over it pretty quickly. Some games I haven't sort of reached that point with this, but I can certainly see where you're coming from with that.
I would love to see this game in first person and PSVR 2. Just because I know from, what is it, Call of Duty, not Call of Duty, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and what's the other one, the Pirate, Jolly Roger Pirate? They both have climbing mechanics in it, and it's the second finger in, it's not the trigger finger.
Yeah.
You can use to climb. So in VR, I'd actually be able to play it for a lot longer, I think, and I would love to see this game in VR. I think it'd be quite the experience.
Yeah, even in that third-person viewpoint, if it was in VR and you had the option to look around behind your character, sort of that Moss sort of style of overviewing your character working through the world might work as well. So be interesting to see whether they how it sort of performs and whether they've thought of that or look at it down the track. But I can see because there's certainly some areas where you get to some sort of flat spots where you can sort of explore around on foot a little bit, and the scenery and the viewpoint from where you are does actually look pretty good. So it would be interesting to see it in VR.
Yeah, and it is a very cool art style in its own right as well. And very much to your point, mate, I love that they're not sticking cutscenes and a bunch of story down your throat. It's just collectibles, as you said. So I think they've prioritized gameplay, which always tickles my fancies. Shall we move on to game 4?
Move on.
All right, then. Game 4 this week, speaking of Rainbow Six Siege, I've dove back in. They recently released, it's the 10-year anniversary, so now they're calling it Rainbow Siege X, just to represent the 10 years the game's been active for. To your earlier point, mate, I hadn't played this in 2-3 years maybe, but I've jumped back into it, and, geez, this game is still a heck of a lot of fun. I love all the, spy, counter-spy sort of stuff. Do you remember the old, what was it, Spy versus Spy on the NES? Did you ever play that one?
The Sega Master System, I did, yes. Loved it.
Yeah, this very much reminds me of that. Not comical at all, unless you see me die a few times. But you've played it, so I'll just be real quick. Basically, your attackers, your defenders, it's best first to 3 or best to 5. you play through and you switch up between defending the bomb points or attacking the bomb points. If you're defending, you fortify the room, set up traps, barricade doors, set up barbed wires, that sort of thing. Then once the wave commences, you can flick over to the security cams, mark the enemies as they're coming in, so your whole team can, get, okay, they're coming in from this side or that side or whatever. And then it's just a good old-fashioned first-person shootout. Very enjoyable for me, but I play it without the audio on because people like to yell at me a lot. I'm not sure why. So I lone wolf it. But there you can see, you just pick up the blokes as they're coming through, mark them up. Everyone gets the ping, and you're off to the races. Best of 5, first to 3, game over. And it's a lot. I'd say it's about half the pace of a Call of Duty. It's very methodical. Headshots kill you instantly, unlike a bit of the old Call of Duty bullet physics. There's no diving to your earlier point. There is a sprint, though, unlike Ready or Not. I think I'm level 56 or something, so I didn't put many, many hours into this back when it came out. Probably 10 years ago when it first came out, I think I put a lot of time into it. And as we discussed briefly earlier, there is a small single-player component, maybe up to 10 single-player scenarios that you can sort of get your teeth wet with all these different operators. Oh, and that was it. I think the operator count now, I want to say it was up to 36. I had the number, but I've lost it. I think it's around 36 operators split amongst attackers and defenders, all with unique abilities, various gadgets and whatnot. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I put hundreds of hours into it. It's cross-buy, cross-progression, so Xbox, PlayStation, if you're so inclined. I think it's really great. If you've never checked it out, no better time to start. Bully, you've gone hands-on. How much time you put in? Any thoughts?
Oh, not a lot. No, I haven't played it for probably 5 or 6 years. It was probably to your point that you said before, is it's very much that team orientated, got to sort of work together to get the best results out of it. And jumping in, just playing as, like you said, just getting thrown in with another team that may or may not be playing as a group and chatting and sort of working things out. I 100% concur with you that unless you sort of have some decent experience in it, that you get your teammates sort of very unhappy with you very quickly because you're not working together as that team as such. So that was sort of what threw me out of a lot of it, to be honest with you. And the other part was, like, if you die early on, you correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no respawns in so each of those matches in that first to 3. If you get killed early on in the match, you're sitting there for the next 5-10 minutes just watching the game unfold. But
there is some interactive. You're correct. If you get shot but not killed, you can press X, I think, to slow the bleeding. And if someone gets up to you in time, they can revive you. But no, typically you're shot and you're out. But you can cycle around the cameras, the security cameras or the little drones. And then you can still play, in a sense. You can mark up enemies as they're coming, so the alive members still get the pings of, they're coming up to this room. Oh, that's the current battle pass, Bully. Check that out for a battle pass. How confusing is it? It's like a giant sheet of checkboxes. Really, I think it's probably the worst implementation of a battle pass I've seen. Like, the rewards and everything are fine, just the visual layout they have it feels very dated now. But big fan of this game. I think there's a lot of fun to be had. Any other points, Bully, on the old Rainbow Six Siege?
No, I think, as I said, I think I've spent my hour or two with it many moons ago, and not one that I've got any burning desire to get back into.
Oh, yeah, I did the install on the channel, and honestly, it's got its hooks in me. I'll be playing this for a few more days, I reckon, just firing it up. And there's, I think there's 5 trophies left to get, and there's nothing crazy hard. I just need to focus up. But I reckon I'm not far off the platinum. I'm tempted just to spend a few days trying to mop those up and get the platinum in her.
Oh, I think I've seen someone try to do that, and it is, I think the last 2 or 3 are really difficult ones. Like, you've got to, I can't remember the exact ones, but you basically got to take out entire teams by yourself or something like that. It's really difficult to me, and honestly.
Yeah, so the 10 years things where I've cut this out, you know how they can rename trophies and change the unlock requirements?
Yeah.
Those ones that are now really hard used to be easy, and I unlocked them 10 years ago, and because your progress rolls forward, I've unlocked the hardest ones already, and I've just got the little mop-up ones left to go. But I didn't do it, I did it legit back then when they were easy trophies, but now they've taken the old easy ones and made them a lot harder, but I've already got them unlocked. So little cheeky sneaks win for me being a veteran.
Well, there you go. You might be very close to a very rare platinum then.
Oh, is it? I didn't even think of that. If it is rare, maybe I'm on the precipice. I'm at 49 platinums. Maybe this would be a good 50th if it's a rare one.
Go for it.
All right, I'll take that. And speaking of going for it, game 5 this evening, Bully. I got to recommend one to you, mate. Swordsman VR. Check it out. First person sword fighting combat. Do I already have your money or what?
You've got me breaking just about everything in this room, I think.
Sometimes it's beneficial to have a studio space where there's nothing you can hit except the beam in the roof. But it's so well implemented. If you've ever wanted to be first-person sword fighting, this is you down to the ground. You know, you've got the shield and you can parry with it. And if you time it right, it goes, you know, slow-mo and you can step around and start doing also. There you go, a little bit of slow-mo. It gets that sort of purple wash on the screen. Everything slows down, but your arm still obviously goes at your speed, so you can get in there and do some nice damage. And as the levels progress, it does get harder and harder. And I haven't even gotten to it yet, but there's 4 different worlds. Each world has an end boss. I've played all 4 worlds, but I haven't got to the end boss on any of them. They're sort of levels. There's 10 levels each world, and I think I'm up to level 6 on all 4. And just that 7th level on both of them, it's so hard. You get up to 3 guys coming at you from different directions, and they've got my number. It's too hard. But if you take a close look here, Billy, you'll see you can slow-mo it down and, you know, cut the sword hand off and they just drop to their knees and you take them off the neck. It's a heck of a lot of fun. So this first one is like medieval sort of England, I would argue, settings. And then the second one is Viking. So you're fighting outside in the snow in like a Viking camp. The third one I'm blanking on. The fourth one is Japan. So it's samurai swords and you're fighting against ninjas. I am totally blanking on that third one, but here's the Viking one. But the mechanics are the same the whole way through it. You can jump out to, and it's like Ready or Not. There's like a hub world, and you can walk around. You can walk up to the armorer, you know, get better armor. You earn currency and skill points. So then at the armorer, you can spend your skill points. You know, more stamina, more strength, more whatever there goes ahead. But then there's also the parry to slow down time and everything. You can level that up so time's slowed down for longer, that sort of thing. So I think I just need to grind out those lower levels, level up my character RPG style, and then be able to get through to the bosses. But it's a heck of a lot of fun. As I said, really enjoyable physics. You can cheese it a little bit. I only noticed it on the English level, but there's pillars in the middle of the room, and the AI isn't that smart. So if you just put a pillar between you and the enemy, you kind of walk into the pillar for a bit, and if you take a quick sidestep, you can stab around the pillar with no damage to yourself. So that's one way I might be able to cheese the currency. There goes another head. But looks great. Plays really well. Oh, there we go. It was like Roman Colosseum style is the third world. Heck of a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoyable. Relatively cheap game too. I want to say it was sub $20, but I may have picked it up on sale recently. But if you've ever wanted a sword fight, I've never obviously been in a sword fight, but this is the closest I think hopefully I'll ever be to one. Very, very enjoyable game. Loved it. Highly recommend it if you ever want a sword fight. It's done incredibly well. That'll do it. Unless you had any questions, Billy, we can jump along.
No, I think it's one of those things. VR and me, it's got to be a very particular game. I think, you know, you and I have played a lot of walkabout mini golf together, and there's very often do I take my headset off and go, how did I get to this part of the room? Twisting myself around and all the rest of it. I just had a look for Swordsman VR, $26.95 Australian dollars.
There you have it. Oh, and this is the hub world. This is their little, you know, the skills meter and everything. The whole layout's like that, and then you got to walk over to the next one. Another one where I would have preferred a menu than walking artificially around a hub world. But anyway, thoroughly enjoyable game for the price. I think it's well worth it. If you're interested in sword fighting in VR, Bully, let's move on in, shall we, to the most one.
So we do have this one. I'm not sure if you've seen much of this one, Troy, but I did throw it in for you. I thought, I know you love your, and I'm blanking at the game now. There was
Dead Cells?
Dead Cells, that's the one. Ninja Gaiden Rage Bound releasing on the 31st, so next week. And that side-scrolling sort of beat 'em up. I'm not sure. From what I've seen, it does look to be almost, you know, harking back to the NES, SNES sort of days of extreme difficulty and all the rest of it. So it'd be interesting to see how it actually plays when it comes out, or whether it's got that sort of more forgiving Dead Cells, I should say, gameplay to it, which was difficult, but it did have probably not quite to the same level of those old school Ninja Gaiden and type games. So I'm not sure if you've seen any of this or any interest in it, Troy, but it does release next week. So I might have to have a look at checking this one out.
Yeah, it does interest me, absolutely. The big thing for me in Dead Cells was that I was able to play it on the arcade stick or the fight stick. But I believe both consoles have since nuked it because I had a little USB stick that I could plug in and then trick it and it would play it because neither of the consoles support the fight stick I've got. But last time I checked, both consoles had blocked it via firmware updates. So I couldn't use my fight stick, and that's the only way I could play Dead Cells. The dexterity in the old man hands for an actual controller, no chance. But if it's on a fight stick, I'm off to the races. That's how I did Dead Cells, and I absolutely loved it. To your point, love the look of it. I'm a big Ninja Gaiden fan, so this ticks all my boxes. The only impediment to my joy would be the old man hands, unfortunately. But color me interested. I'll probably pick it up and have a play, but I don't think I'll be rolling credits on this one. Unless they've done some sort of miraculous job. Although, I don't have the money for it, Bully, but what's that, the stick that PlayStation released? I should pick up one of those. Was it the Leonardo?
Well, I was just having a look at this. There's the officially licensed Hori PS5 mini fighting stick, which is 120 Australian, or there's the Tekken 8 version of it, which is $450 odd. That'd be the full size sort of fight stick. So,
yeah, I paid $500 for mine. It's sitting over there and it works beautifully. And then they just cut me out with the firmware, so I'm a little dirty on them.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, there is other ones available, but again, it's how much you want to outlay for whether you're going to get the value out of it, I suppose. I don't think I would. I think we've discussed a couple of weeks ago, I'm not a massive fighting game fan. And even for games like this, I'm quite happy to sit on the controller and play it that way. So I'm not sure I'd get any value out of it. But, if that's the way to play it, the mini fight stick is 120. So there you go.
Yes, well, maybe come Christmas time I'll go all in. But yeah, keen to check this out. I don't suppose it's coming to any service, PS Plus or Game Pass.
Not to my knowledge, and it's funny because the actual Ninja Gaiden 4, the 3D release is coming later this year. So interesting that they've decided to do a 2D side-scrolling one 2 or 3 months before. So that's probably the other interesting part to it is how long and how much content there is actually in this, or whether it's just sort of we'll throw this out there and get people back involved or interested in the Ninja Gaiden franchise, because it hasn't been around for a while.
Was it earlier this year Ninja Gaiden Black re-release came out? Was that this year or was that the end of last year?
No, yeah, earlier this year I think it was.
So they'll have 3 titles out in a year. That's pretty wild for any franchise.
Yeah. So, well, was it around the Game Awards? But certainly in the last 12 months, they would have released 3 games in the same franchise. So, and that's what I mean. I don't know how much gameplay there is actually in this.
It makes me wonder if there's a TV show or movie coming, Bully.
Quite possibly. They've gone a lot of other places that I didn't think they would, and I imagine that'd be probably right for the picking, I would have thought.
It's got Netflix anime written all over it, doesn't it?
Well, if they sort of made it more, I don't know whether you do it as an anime or a sort of pseudo live action one in the mold of the actual Ninja Gaiden 4 that we're releasing, or I'm not sure, but certainly
that would be epic.
Certainly would be something to look forward to.
Yes, totally excited. I'll be keeping a close eye on that one. I might even send the developers an email and ask for a key. I don't expect a response, but that's never stopped me before. Excellent pick for the most wanted, Bully. Let's go pound in the newsroom door, shall we? Who has the right to remain newsworthy this week, mate?
Yeah, as I mentioned off the top, probably a little bit slow at the moment, given that we're in the Northern Hemisphere's summer and post the Summer Games Fest, etc. But word this week comes out that a new WB licensed Lego game coming from TT. So the last Lego game we did get was Lego Horizon, which failed spectacularly. Didn't hit any of the marks that you'd normally expect out of a Lego game. Wasn't made by TT. It was licensed to a different company. So it'd be good to see TT get back into it. And if they're going back to that sort of Warner Brothers IP, because I think the last WB one they released was DC Supervillains, but going back to Lego Batman 1 and 2, they were two of my favourite Lego games of all time, and I'm always partial to a Lego game just to break up some of the more serious and real world graphical style games that we seem to get this day. I'm more than happy for a bit of laid back fun with it, the humour that you get with the Lego games. So. Not sure how much interest you've got in the Lego franchises, but certainly if that releases towards the end of the year, that'll be on my hit list come then.
I reckon collectively I've spent over 200 hours with the boys co-op on the couch playing many of the Lego games. By far, our most played is the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Yes,
the Lego Indiana Jones. Me and the boys have clocked that, I reckon, at least 4 times easy. We absolutely love it. We're at the point where we're pretty much speed running it. We just jump in and go. Big fans of that. We also put a fair bit of time into the Luke Skywalker saga on that one. We've played that to completion twice, I think, but all of them, we've played them all. They're big hits in this house. Shout out to, Lego City Undercover, I want to say. That one was pretty epic.
Oh, that one was awesome.
Yeah.
Although, funnily enough, only released on the Wii U to start with and then came to the other platforms down the track, which might have been a mistake. But I reckon that was one of the best ones because that had all the humour that they didn't have to rely on the IP. They could any licensed IP. They could come up with their own sort of storyline, and it was it was a little offbeat. It drew from a lot of the campy cop shows from the 80s and 90s, and I'd be more than happy if they did a Undercover too. Like that was a fantastic game.
Double cover or something. But yeah, big fan of the Lego series. Tickle me excited. I can't wait. Let's roll. Story 2, mate.
So Story 2, Supermassive, the developers behind some of they're probably underrated. I shouldn't say they're underrated. Like Until Dawn was a pretty big hit when it was originally released on the PS4 in 2005. Bit of a surprise hit. The re-release they did, I'll say last year at some point, not really hitting
the mark. I feel like it was November-ish.
Yeah, and there's been a few others that they've sort of...
The Quarry
The Quarry was another one of these, which I actually really enjoyed, although it didn't get a lot of great reception. They've obviously got...
I remember Unky gave that The Quarry 2 big thumbs up when it came out as well. He was a big fan.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, played through it, put quite a lot of time into it. They've got the Dark Pictures anthology, which is up to 3 or 4 games now. And one that I saw on sale about a month or so ago that I jumped into, got it fairly cheap, the casting of Frank Stone, which is, I think he's set in the Dead by Daylight universe, which... okay,
I haven't heard of that game at all. I know Dead by Daylight, but...
Yeah, so they've obviously got the genre that they work in. It's, realistic. They use... for the most part, well-known actors to, Rami Malek and Hayden Panettiere were in Until Dawn. So they use, they're trying to basically make this cross between a horror film and a video game. And I think for the most part, they've had a few missteps, but for the most part, I think they've done a really good job with it. But the news this week that the company Supermassive is laying off and some of their staff and downsizing after. So the studio's about 350 odd employees. They're laying off about 10% of that at the moment, which sort of throws into some doubt the Dark Pictures anthology, which I think was originally supposed to be 10 games long.
Yeah. Yep. What are they, 4 in at the minute, I think?
4 in at the moment. They've got another one that is in that anthology, which is Directive 8020, which is we don't have a release date for at the moment. But sorry, I should say that 10% decrease was earlier in the year. They've had more layoffs since then, so they've eliminated about 90 of their 350 staff, which is disappointing from my point of view. The game's never really hit the high that they should have, but there's a lot of value in what they provide, and it's a style of game that I don't think there's really any other company sort of pushing forward or utilizing their skill sets. And if you've never played one, it's quite I guess the main game mechanic in them is the theory of the butterfly effect, that if you do something here, that it's going to ripple down the game in some way, shape, or form. And the first example of what you get in Until Dawn is you're going up to this cabin in the woods, and as you're making your way up there, you've got this. You're controlling a female character. There's a male character there. His phone rings. Do you pick up the phone and see who's messaging him, or do you just leave it alone and sort of carry on? And that then changes the trust between the characters, and then the trust level will play out down the track. That you might not trust to go with someone or help them out or whatever it is. So it's got this sort of long-winded thing, and you at various points, Until Dawn being the prime example, is you take control of 7 or 8 characters through the game, but depending on how you play, you might end up with all of them surviving, all of them dying, or a mixture of some dying, some living. So as I said, I'm quite a fan of the studio. They've got a very specific skill set that they utilise, and pretty sad to see them downsizing and limiting the output, I guess, of games that they're throwing out.
Yes, very unfortunate, sad times, but it's unfortunately a common theme across the industry the last couple of years. A lot of layoffs left, right, and centre. Sad times, and they've never really tickled my fancy. Horror is certainly not my genre, but more power to them. Keep making good games and cool genres. Bully, News Story 3, mate.
News Story 3. Now, it's not one we've spoken about before, and it's sort of been slowly bubbling along for the last 12 months, but I'm not sure if you've seen the petition started by a gentleman, Ross Scott, in Europe, called Stop Killing Games. And this was thrown up in response to Ubisoft delisting The Crew, which is basically an online-only racing game, which the reality is most of the game can and is played single play, but for some reason it was one of these games that was an always online connectivity required to allow you to play it. So as a result of that, he's released a petition, Stop Killing Games, to try and force companies that if they and he's not being unrealistic that games should be available on a server somewhere forever. But what he's asking is that when companies look at shutting their servers down for these games, is that they get into the back end and somehow work out a way of still allowing you to throw the disc in there and play it in some way, shape, or form, as close as to how it is intended. So the reason it sort of cropped up this week is he's managed to get 1.5 million odd signatures to this petition in Europe, which then allows it guarantees that it is put before the European Union Parliament for discussion. So I suppose then it allows the Parliament to then make a decision as to whether they agree with him, whether they side with the studios, and then how that sort of looks going forward. And for me, being a very big physical games collector, like there's a lot of games that I can still pull off the shelf and play, even if they're not digitally accessible or able to be purchased anymore. So I've shown, I've kept a bit of an eye on it as it's bubbling along, but this is probably the peak point of it at the moment is that it's being put before the European Parliament. It'd be interesting to see what their response is, whether they say, yeah, we agree, you've shelled out your money for it, you own the game. And I suppose the flow-on effect is, and we saw it with Nintendo with the Switch 2, is that they're basically saying that you don't own the games, you just, licensing the ability to play it. And how that sort of plays out in the long run as well, as to whether, it's quite possible that they can legislate that you actually you bought the game, you own the game, you can do with it as you like. So, and that it should be playable in perpetuity. So it'd be interesting to see how that sort of all plays out and looks going forward. But I did note as well during the week that Yves Guillemot from Ubisoft came out and obviously, as we've spoken about, that it did sort of grow off the back of The Crew being delisted, which is a Ubisoft game, and he was quite critical of the whole thing. But I think from what I've read and the quotes I've seen, he's sort of misrepresenting what the the whole argument's about it. It's not about having those servers, as I said, open and running endlessly. It's just give us the ability to play it if you're going to turn the servers off. So not sure if you've seen any of this or it's of any interest to you, Troy, but certainly, as I said, something that I've been keeping my eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been keeping half an eye on it, mate. I'm in full support of it. I'd love it if they could manage to get it together. I mean, tip of the cap to them. They're the European Court, whatever, commission, whoever. They're the ones that nixed all the loot boxes.
Yes.
They're no longer in games because of action that's happened in the past. So fingers crossed we get a similar outcome here where they just look at it and go, you know what, this isn't cricket. Get it out of there. So hopefully we get another win there, and very much to your point, single-player games can live on. The one that jumps to my mind is, of course, the Assassin's Creed franchise. They are so reliant on those online servers for a single-player game. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm such a huge fan of Valhalla, and I would hate to think in 10 years that I couldn't play it again because all the servers are turned off. So I couldn't agree more. Full support to them. I hope they get it over the line, and I hope Ubisoft are forced to actually sort of cover their tracks a bit better, keeping games playable in future. I think it's very important. I hope it happens.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and we'll keep an eye on it and keep you updated as it sort of plays out.
More power to them. Go, fellas, go. That will do it for the news this week, which brings us, Bully, to audience interrogation. What's been happening in that there YouTube chat?
Not a lot at the moment, not a lot. So I'm not sure if it's an error on air again, but we'll have to
every chance.
we'll have to investigate into that. If you've seen something you want to jump on in this show, certainly we'll try and get it fixed for next week and jump on, and we'll go over any of your questions or queries.
Perfect. Well, that'll do it. We are off. Bully, fantastic work this week, mate. Thank you very much for your participation, as always.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Bully, final question, mate. What else could you do with Geek Aloud?
Like it, subscribe it, you'll never miss it.
Oh, that was luck. Hey, that's something. Oh! Old Uncle Donkey. Gee, donkey.